Thank you for watching this Last Mile Profits video.
So have Advent done it again? After a most amazing IPO with InPost, it looks like there's an awful lot of interest in Evri, which is apparently in a sell process right now. Take a look at the latest Last Mile Profits video to find out more. Experience the future of convenience with modern Expo parcel lockers. Cutting-edge innovations that bring parcel delivery to a fundamentally new level. Follow the link in the description to find the best solution for your business. So Gary, it looks like Advent are going to do it again. Make a pretty big killing on one of their last mile investments.
Yeah, we did cover this in a podcast a few months ago, actually, that Advent were likely to put Evri up for sale. And yes, I can confirm they definitely have put Evri up for sale.
And I'll tell you what, this is interesting because they're pretty good at this game. For those who don't remember, they bought InPost for a song around about 2015-16 and then IPO'd for 8.9 billion enterprise value. And while I don't know how much they paid for Everywhere, I think, am I right? They have 75%?
They do. They're 75%. I don't think the figure was ever public with the sale of Evri, because it was owned by, well, it's got a very convoluted ownership. It was owned by Freeman Grattan Holdings, would you believe, in Bradford, whose parent company is the Otto Group in Germany. And because that business is still family owned, they're under no sort of public obligation to reveal.
I remember, Gary, there was something. And from what I remember, they bought 25% of the European business, parcels business, and 75% of the UK.
Yeah. So there was Hermes UK, of which they bought 75, Hermes Germany, of which they bought 25. The majority of Hermes Germany is still owned by Otto. They had a fledgling Italian business and a fledgling Russian business, and were starting to play in France as well. But the two engine rooms of parcel volume in that business were the UK and Germany.
And of course, Mondial Relay that InPost actually went on to buy from the Hermes parent company.
Yes.
But let's get back to Evri then. For those who didn't catch that, used to be called Hermes UK. So what's your feeling, Gary? Because my understanding is there's quite a lot of interest, and it looks like Advent are going to do it again and make a bit of a killing.
Yeah, I mean, there was this report that sort of proudly listed out the three potential bidders and that they were through to stage 2. I think it's riddled with errors. I think there are far more than 3 people interested in inquiring Evri, because it's a business that potentially has still a great amount of growth ahead of it. It's taking market share from Royal Mail. It's stolen market share from other competitors like Yodel in the kind of budget delivery parcel price. Our interest in it, yours and mine, is really it is the leading carrier in out of home in the UK. They have north of 150 million out of home parcels that go through that network. They have their own network of parcel shops. They've been a big user of InPost lockers. They're now becoming a big user of parcel pending by Quadient's lockers. So they're a very, very interesting business. In fact, that they have taken most of the UK market growth has gone to them, while others have stood still. They've absorbed that growth. They're just hugely successful.
So all in all, it's the second success story from Advent. Let's see what happens. For those who weren't in the details, the InPost story was quite convoluted. And first there were discussions with private equity. Then Advent realized actually they'd get a better deal out of an IPO. So everything is still on the cards. But whatever happens, it's clear that this is going to be an attractive deal for Advent. I've got one question, Gary, because I'm trying to work out what the end game is, because if they sell, they'll be left, I presume, with the minority stake in Hermes Europe, with a relatively small stake in InPost, having sold the majority, I think it was to PPF, of what they had. So is this part of a complete exit from the last mile?
I don't know. Maybe it's a realignment in looking into different markets. I don't know. I don't know the Advent people at all, but I do know that this sale is going to create a huge amount of interest, because one of the reasons I think InPost commanded such a high sum is that there's lots of money that wants to get into final mile delivery and into e-commerce in general, and it doesn't happen that very often that the big opportunities come along. Many of the carriers are owned either by national posts and therefore governments, and unless you went like a listing like Royal Mail, you're never going to be able to buy La Poste Actually, with the new French government, maybe you can buy La Poste. You've got no idea what the new leadership might decide to do. But it's very unlikely that Poste Italiana or any of these big organisations will come up for sale. DPD is ultimately owned by the French government. So if you've got money floating around looking for a home in final mile, these opportunities don't come along very often, and that's why they provoke such a huge amount of interest. I mean, the initial figure stuck on Evri was 2 billion. Is that conservative? I mean, if you look at the InPost valuation, which was a business nowhere near the scale, really, it could be a very different story.
Well, okay, so maybe if people would like to hazard a guess, so Gary's saying it's going to be north of 2 billion. I tend to agree with him, and I think it's going to be significantly north of that. If anyone's got any ideas, then please pop your thoughts below. I think we can agree, Gary, on one thing, that it is a very interesting target, and Advent are very unlikely not to do well out of it.
Yeah, so if you add that to the bid for Royal Mail, the amount of change of the major players in the UK home delivery market is going to be vast, isn't it? If you think about it, Royal Mail on 40%, Evri on 15%, or wherever they are. The ownership of almost half the home delivery parcels in the UK is about to change in the coming months. That can't be described as anything less than exciting.
Well, let's see. Interesting times ahead, Gary, for the UK. Let's see where it takes us. Thanks for watching this Last Mile Profits video. For more up-to-date last mile news and analysis, subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on LinkedIn.